"Hey, little brother. Hey, wake up now." Hans shook him gently. "Aren't you?" he muttered, then tried to reach out. "Is that supposed to be your name or mine?" He opened his eyes. A bearded face he didn't know grinned down at him, features fluttering in torchlight. "It's night time." With that, he realized that what he thought inside he no longer had to say aloud. He could contain thoughts, keep them to himself. He recalled all at once inhumanly long fingers that played across his head, seeming to pierce his skull, the sensation so intense that he wiped a hand across his face to see if there was blood from the sharp nails. None, but his body shivered as if beset by an ague. The stranger looked concerned. It was an expression Thomas had beheld most of his life, mainly in response to something he'd said, but right now it didn't matter. He sat up, clutched at his side where it twinged, and stared past the man. Green fire. Gone. Everything was gone. Everybody. Onshu, too. His eyes welled with tears. "Boy, what is it?" The man twisted to follow his gaze. He shook with weeping, tried, then sobbed, and tried again to explain.
"Queen of Heaven, she's took Onshu."
The bearded man's expression furrowed, which puckered the scars across his cheek and forehead. His gaze shifted to the tilted gravestone beside them, and he grunted with apparent understanding. "That's so, little brother. Then I'm most sorry for your loss. Which one is his?"
"No,"
he answered, wretched and despairing. He rocked back and forth, put his hands on his head. How was he to explain?
"She took him,"
he said again. In his head, he heard the voice of a neighbour, Mrs. Duncanson, speaking of someone's stillborn baby.
"Not lost, but gone before, poor dear." "Gone," he managed. "Gone before."
He shook his head. It was impossible to tell it. She had taken Onshu and left him behind when it should have been him. He tore at his hair, slapped himself, unable to sit still, until the man stabbed the torch into the ground, then grabbed his arms and anchored him in place. "Go ahead and rage, boy. Get it out, but not by harming yourself." The strength of those arms kept him in check, kept his hands at his sides while he kicked and twisted and yelled, until finally his fury broke, leaving him empty in his weeping. The man knelt patiently, as if he'd nothing else to do in the world. He wore a light tunic and loose checked trousers. A satchel lay beside him, made of heavy cloth and patched in a few places. A cord was tied to the points of it, front and back. It must in some manner unfurl. Thomas's interest in it carried off his misery. The man hesitantly let go of him, and he wiped at his runny nose and wet face.